Stretch. You can put it on the board. Yes. Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Mount Rushmore here in South Dakota. Yes, Mount Rushmore. Listen, folks, great place to make. Got to make sure you get over here. Check it out. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, as well as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, AMP TV. We're everywhere, even hotel television. Today's show is brought to you in part by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit them online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. All right. A big round of applause for everybody listening in, and also for, we have a couple of people with us today. And the first one, everybody knows him. That is two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole. And there's Tyrone. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey. Man, you know how I do it. I work that thing to the fullest, because just like Montel Jordan says, this is how we do it. This is how I do it. I work that thing. What's going on, Sam?
All right. That's great stuff. Hey, you know what, Tyrone? Listen, we have a special guest today. In fact, he is a three-time NCAA National Champion, an NBA champion, also as a coach, a two-time CBA champion, and author. The Addiction That Drove Me. Henry Bibby, welcome in.
Thank you. It's nice to be in here. Tyrone, I like that song. That's pretty good.
I know how you doing, Mr. Bibby. Nice to talk to you.
Montel. You too young for that, okay? You too young for Montel.
All right, so hey, Henry, look, with all your basketball accomplishments, with everything that you've been doing, let's get right into it. You are an author, and you've got a book that just came out recently, and people can find it, of course, on Amazon and pick your other favorite venue. Tell everybody about The Addiction That Drove Me.
Well, you know, Sal, there's so many things that I try to cover in this book that would relate and help people that are on their way up in the sports world, in parenting and the divorce situation, kids, the buddy system in basketball, how to deal with the media. I cover so many things in this book, and it's just such easy reading. Good for young coaches coming up to understand what it's about. I talked about some of the experiences that I had that I'm trying to share with young coaches that don't make the same mistakes that I made. And that's what the book gets into a lot. It talks about the NBA, being in that system of the NBA and surviving in the NBA as a player and as a coach. So there were so many areas that I hit on that I think related to people. I just didn't want to do, basketball stories or so many career stories. I wanted to do a book that would self-help people and get through some of their situations where they look and say, well, gosh, this is tough. But, there are ways to get it going and to make things happen for yourself.
Well, it's great to talk to another author, because I'm an author myself. My book is called The Ultimate Success in the Game of Life. And just like you, Mr. Bibby, my book is not about me talking about myself to a point, but it's 12 dynamic principles that I try to share with people that if they're looking for ultimate success in life, that's why the title is Ultimate Success in Life. So whatever it is in life that you want to achieve, this book is not to recant my life, but to tell you principles, which I think principles never change. People experiences changes, but the principle never changes. So my book, like yours, it's a self-help book. What are some of the things about your book that you would tell people? If there were 3 things that you could pull out that book and say, if you do this, this, and that principle, I'm telling you, you will give yourself a great chance of finishing your race.
Well, I'm not sure if I could do 3, Tyrone, but, there are a few things. I think there is something that drives all of us. We're driven by different things. People are driven for different types of success. I just think people, you have to figure it out quickly. No one is going to really tell you. What I did, I went to a lot of seminars to learn how to be a leader. There's a lot of things that you go through that helps you move towards the final goal, and that's what's going to be happiness within you. But I don't know if I can do 3, but there are quite a few things in the book, again, that would help people understand the footwork they need to keep going on. Who do you talk to? What counseling do you have? Is there a big brother or a big sister or a mentor that you can find that you can emulate or get information from them? But it's sometimes it's hard tries. Coming up through the old school, I really didn't have anyone to look to give me answers because the people around me didn't have the answers. We were just, in a survival mode the whole time. So as I went through life and gotten older, I look back and I can see things now at the age that I am now, of things that helped me get to different points of where I am and what other people need to do. It's a lot, I think, people need to do of what they want to be successful with. And success can't be compared to other people. Success has to be compared, in my opinion, on what you can bring to the table and do. I thought I was a very, very good basketball player, but I was never a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant. But with my ability, I was happy to have gotten where I've gotten with my ability. So I utilized as much of my ability as I could use to get there to help me be successful. So I never compared myself to those guys. I could compare myself to me and how much more I could push myself into.
Yes. Okay, folks, back here with Henry Bibby, NBA champion, 3-time NCAA champion, 10-year veteran point guard, also 2-time CBA coach, and author of The Addiction That Drove Me. Also back here with 2-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole. Big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, and those watching us on TV all over the country. Hey, Henry, let me ask you a question on this. On the footwork, I love the fact that you mentioned the footwork because, listen, in every sport, I don't care what it is, all the 4 major food groups nonetheless, and some of the others, including tennis and golf, etc., we talk about the footwork all the time, and the footwork is so important. Now, in football, Tyrone, you can get turned inside out, but in basketball, listen, we know, Henry, that you can also get turned outside in, too. So tell us about the footwork for The Addiction That Drove Me.
Well, the footwork is figuring out the road you're going to take. That's the toughest part for any of us to do. There are so many roads that we go down trying to find the right road, and you're going to make mistakes in life. Life is not a perfect world that we live in. So I've been down so many roads. I think I became a pretty good coach going down so many different roads on my own. I didn't really have a coach to learn things under. So the footwork came with me going through all these scenarios to get to the knowledge that I have now. Even in parenting, even in marriage, even in raising kids, there are footwork. We don't make always the perfect decision. I wish during my situation I could have had, counseling, really a marriage counsel to help those situations get better. So as we get older, more things have come to the table that's helped us become who we are and to make less mistakes. And that's what this book is all about, is to try to share information with young coaches to where they don't make the same mistake in trying to get what they want. First, you got to get the vision of what you really want and where you want to go. And then you have to put yourself around people that are successful, that have done that, to get you there. I've read so many books, I watched so many films on so many coaches that I come up with what fits me. You have to get what works for you. I was in a situation with Keith Smart in Venezuela. Keith Smart is a very good friend of mine, and he was into Christianity. He was really into religion. And he said, this works for me. It might not work for you. So we all have different footprints that we take, but the ultimate goal is to reach the peace and the perfection within each one of us, not compare it to somebody else, but what you can do. Everybody doesn't have the same goal. Everybody's not going to get the same outcome. But again, you can get the outcome from yourself, doing what you need to do and applying yourself in certain ways to be able to get there.
Well, I tell you what, Mr. Bibby, you said something about don't compare yourself. I tell that. I got 2 kids. I tell them that all the time. The only person that can stop you is the person that you look at every day in the mirror. So when you say don't compare yourself, it even take me back to one of my favorite scriptures. It says, imitate those who through faith and patience inherited the promise. So everybody's experience is going to be different, but I do believe that there are principles that you must follow to get the same result. If you run the 400 meters, you got to practice like those who run the 400 meters. You may be different than them. Your running style may be different, but what it takes to run that 400 meters is what it is. So you always want to make sure you do the principles, but don't try to compare yourself to nobody. So just like the Sports Circus, we don't compare ourselves to nobody. We are an original, baby. So stay tuned. We got more Mr. Henry Bibby on the Sports Circus.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP TV mobile studio here in South Dakota, right out in front of Mount Rushmore, folks. What a great sight. See all the state's flags on either side of me here. I'm in the bubble, so nobody can really be heard, but I'll tell you what, it's awfully noisy out here because everybody's excited. We have a great day. And I'll tell you what, everyone wants to come out and enjoy this wonderful scenery, and it really is a sight to behold. All right, folks, this segment is brought to you in part by Cali Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk shows. Cali Vegas can help with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic every day or to reinvent themselves, because you never know. They've been sitting around for maybe several months, and they need to do a little bit of that and host their very own talk show in their very own home studio. For more information, contact Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119, or visit them online for more information at calivegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in, of course, on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Those listening also on YouTube and watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Same thing on amp.tv, on Facebook. Make sure you follow and subscribe. And a big welcome into everybody that's listening in or watching in hotel television in 650,000 rooms from coast to coast. Welcome in, as well as everybody on Magic 97.9 FM in Las Vegas. All right, back here with Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, and NBA champion, three-time NCAA champion, two-time CBA champion, author. Yes. That would be this guy, Henry Bibby, right over there. Big round of applause for Henry.
Bibby. Yeah,
that's the one. All right, so hey, Henry, right off the bat, we talked about the book. I want to get back into the book in a little bit, but tell us a little bit about growing up in Carolina. Interesting story, very interesting background.
Well, it's really, really interesting. I grew up in North Carolina, and, segregation was, integration was all there during that time. We're going through some tough times in this world today, but, that's been happening for a long time, what you're seeing happening now. Yes. I went to all black high school. I went to a small black high school, 19 kids in my class, and that's what I kind of talked about in the book a little bit. And the whites went here and the blacks went here. And that's the way it stayed. And, it's kind of like that in this country to this day and time. But, there are a lot of things that opened my eyes, to this. And I think you have to know people and be open to have a situation where you don't see color. Okay. And I know it's tough for a lot of people to see that, but, I grew up, I grew up prejudiced like a lot of black people in the South grew up at the time, because I knew the ramifications of crossing the line. I came to California my first time living with a white family, and I talk about it in the book, and I locked my door every night because I knew the white people, the KKK, were coming to get me. I knew that. And this was in 1968. And I stayed with a family named Andy Hill in Westwood. The mother treated me like I was one of her sons. And it opened up a whole new line of thinking for me in regards to race. And in the South, I stayed on my side of town. The whites stayed on their side of town. You drove straight ahead, looking right ahead. I went to, like I said, I went to all black high school, and, the white school wanted me to come over to their side, to play basketball my senior year, but my family and my principal and my coach didn't want me to go, so I finished up at the black school. But in moving to Los Angeles, moving in with this white family, totally different. I'd never eaten cinnamon toast in my life. I didn't know what that was. My breakfast consisted of grits and fatback meat and molasses. So that's what we ate. Life turns so many different corners for you. And now, I've gotten to the point where you don't see color. You see people. There are good people all over, good and bad on both sides. So you try to look at, who you are more so than anybody else. And there's a lot of change that has to go down in this country, and hopefully we can be a part of making that change. But, growing up in the South is tough. It was tough during that time. And it hasn't been that long ago. That's the whole thing. It hasn't been that long ago.
I love the way that you have, I love the way that you identify with it. And I know, Tyrone, you have a little bit to add to this as well. You've grown up where as well. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit more about that.
Well, I want to ask Mr. Bibby this question here. When you talk about change, and we all understand that change, it needs to happen in this world. Now, a bridge, everybody knows what a bridge is, the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever bridge you want to call it. But if a bridge that connects one side to the other so that they can come together to introduce one side to the other, what would be a word that you would say, this is one word that if we embrace this word, it could connect each side so that we could have more understanding for one another?
I would say love. I'd say love would be the word.
There you go. Yes.
That would bring everybody together. It's all one. We're all going for the same purpose. We all want the same purpose. We all want the same thing. We want peace. We want everybody to live a comfortable life. It's just too much hatred going on, and it doesn't need to be that.
Yes.
We need to, look ahead, love our brother and keep moving forward. It gets tough at times, but, sometimes you just have to throw everything aside and bring love in your heart. And that's what, Dr. Martin Luther King talked about, during his time. And, Malcolm X was a little different in talking about his time, but the same results was basically what they wanted. They wanted unity, for the people. And that's what we need to get now.
Yeah. And I've even shared life like this. I'll say this real quick. I give the analogy of dirty water. That's what the world is today. It's dirty water. And like you said, love is that clean water. So if we could pour more clean water into the dirty water, then the dirty water has no choice but to overflow and get out. And now that dirty water now becomes clean water because of love. So we're able to see clear, we're able to understand clearly, and everybody could be successful. So I definitely agree with you on that point. Everyone who's listening and watching, we are here with Mr. Henry Bibby. Man, it's almost like I'm sitting here talking to my grandfather, man. I'm like, come on, give me some of that wisdom. But no, you're full of wisdom. I say that all in due respect, but all those who are watching us, 650,000 hotels, everybody on CBS, NBC, Fox affiliates, all those in, Las Vegas, 97.9. Again, Mr. Bibby, it's an honor for you to be here on the Sports Circus. So I know Sal got a question for you. He's been chopping at the bit to spit a question out. Go ahead, Sal.
All right. So when we were on commercial break, you were talking about some of the other things about, like, for example, handling the media. How is it handling the media from the different levels, whether it was from high school to college to pro to coaching? Now, from an author standpoint, how do you handle the media in each of those situations?
Well, I think you need a media coach. That I didn't have at SC, and that hurt me. I think I need to sit down, or every coach, young coach, high school, college, NBA needs to sit down with a media coach and share information with them on how to deal with the press. I know it's tough, after games, and you just lost a tough game. Trying to answer some of the questions that they ask you. I've been there, but I think you need a coach that will be able to share information on how you deal with these questions, give you an overall view of basically what they're going to ask you, and be able to deal with it. I think if I had that at USC, I could have stayed probably another year or two along to enhance my career. But the media is not the enemy. I remember. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I got traded from New York to New Orleans at halftime. My wife came over at the time, came and told me that I was traded. And I flew on a flight with one of my best friends, who became one of my best friends, Pete Vesey, Hall of Fame writer with the New York Post, rode with me down to New Orleans on that flight. And he said, I'm going to be your friend, I'm going to be your enemy, but I'm going to write the truth about what's going on. So I took that from the media, and that really helped me in the way of trying to understand what the media is all about. They have a job to do. Yeah. Sometimes we make their jobs tough as coaches, and that's not fair to them. They have to ask tough questions. And when you do that, you're going to get some difficult answers at times. But if you have a media coach and somebody's interviewing you, doing your interviews, they can go back, and you should have a session with them to teach you how to enhance your position of being better with the media.
All right, Henry, let me ask you a quick question. real quick, Henry, I want to find out, you want to stick around with us for one more segment?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, good. All right, I just want to make sure that we left enough time for your social media. Real quick, tell everybody how they could find your book, would you?
Well, you can go on Amazon, Sal. You can go on Kindle and get it. It'll be delivered out, September the 4th. So it's an interesting book. It's easy reading, and it just shares some information. I'm not in there to beat up anybody. I'm in there to share some information with people and keep moving on.
Yes. Back here with a couple of champions. We've got this guy over here that's won an NBA. We've got this guy who's won a couple Super Bowls. Tyrone, give us final thoughts and take us to break.
All right. Well, I know Mr. Bibby hit on a lot of things, and one thing he mentioned about that media, I agree 100%. Myself, coming from a small college, Fort Valley State, HBCU, when I got to the NFL, they didn't teach us how to public speak or to handle the media. So when I got to the NFL, the media would come around me, and I still to this day, I feel like there are a lot of things I left on the table that the media could have helped me with to be more prosperous. But you know what? I learned. So now I'm teaching others, just like Mr. Bibby is teaching. So everybody hang around. We got more Sports Circus with the great Mr. Henry Bibby. See you when we return.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
This is Sidney Justin from the Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Did you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that
incredible.
okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
That's fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes. Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports. You get music.
You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
welcome back to the Sports Circus. This is Tyrone Poole. You see my picture, you hear my voice. I want to welcome everybody who's listening to us in Las Vegas, the city that never sleeps, 97.9, and also those who are listening to us on CBS, NBC, and Fox affiliates. This segment is brought to you by the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation. At the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation, we are reforming, refilling, and restoring success in the family unit, whether the mother and father are together or not together. And how do we do that? We do that by holding special events, father and daughter events, father and son, mother and daughters. It's all about bridging the gap and bringing the family institution back, because the family institution is the foundation of anything going forward. So if you want to learn more or you want to donate, just go to Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation. .org. Can't forget that. Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation .o to the R to the G. Again, we have a great guest today, people. We have no other than Mr. Henry Bibby. He's an author. He's been a former NBA player. He's been a great coach, and he is here dropping golden nuggets. I'm telling you, if you missed out on any parts of this show, you need to go back and make sure you listen to it, because he's dropping things that I'm telling you will take you from being on the low level to the high level. Now, Mr. Bibby, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I want to ask you a question about the art of coaching. The art of coaching. Now, my daughter, I've coached my daughter. She's in college now. I've coached her and I've learned a lot of things that I've done wrong and things that I've done right. Now, you having a son, which I want to get to Mike Bibby. That's why I'm talking about my daughter, because it's kind of tough being a pro and then you try to coach your kids. But being the art of coaching, how would you describe a great coach, and what is the art of coaching, getting athletes to do what you want them to do so they can be successful?
Well, I think it comes with experience. It's nothing you can read in a book on how to do it. I try to take a lot of things that like I said before, that I've done in the past, the mistakes I've made, and try to apply them. Mike was just a great player. We played, when he was young, and I used to beat up on him, and then it got to a point where he beat up on me all the time. So I just left him alone then. So he was a very, very good player. And, it's tough coaching your son or your daughter. It's really tough doing that because, they don't want to listen really anyway. But, again, you have to keep working at it. My whole thing is knowledge. I read a lot of books. I watched tons of tapes each year. As a coach, I would buy $2,000 or $3,000 worth of tapes on different coaches and just, looked at their philosophy and what they did, how they made their team, their players better, and picked out what fitted me. You have to get what works for you and what you're comfortable doing. So I went back and did all that stuff, and I was able to bring it to the table, but I learned a lot on my own on how to implement what I want to implement through all the people that I've worked with: Gene Shue, Red Holzman, Butch Van Bredekoff, Coach John Wooden, my high school coach. All these people I took things from. And I don't know if you can just be a coach to be a coach. A lot of coaches have been in the NBA. They've been video guys. They've played in the NBA. They've coached in the NBA. They've been college coaches. So you just got to keep learning as you keep moving from one position to another. At SC, I should go to leadership conferences where big CEOs of companies. I learned how to run a company. The whole thing that I did was run my company. SC was like a factory, a big factory where all these 15, 16 players were under me. How did I deal with the athletic department? How did I deal with the president? There's so many angles you have to look at doing things to get that knowledge to be able to share with people where you're not making a mistake. You're mostly a psychologist. That's what you are in dealing with people.
Yes.
Hey, Henry, let me ask you a question on the transition from team to team, but also I want to talk about the transition of teams moving cities. So Las Vegas, as you know, has a hockey team. They've got a football team. Likely they're going to have a basketball team, and I think a team is going to move there. I don't think you're going to see a new team show up. And I had thought in my mind that two of the teams could be either the LA Clippers or the possibility of the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, you played for the Clippers organization, and you played in New Orleans as well. How difficult is it for a coach to take its team that had just moved to a different city, and let's just say they were on the uprise, right? Let's just say they're doing well, and that's why the coach stayed in place, right? So there wasn't a drastic change in the management of the team. How difficult is it as a team executive or a team management member to transition from city to city and deal with the media and the press in the new city with the high expectations? Because I think, in my opinion, Las Vegas is going to get a basketball team within the next couple of years.
Yeah, we live out of a suitcase, Sal. That's what we do. We can pack up and go any place and coach. So it's not a problem relocating to coach. You have to have good public relation people that can get out there and beat the bush. And I'm sure before a team moves, the NBA has gone to drastic steps to find out if a city will support an NBA team before all that happens. So when you go into a new city, a new arena, things are basically set for that team to work because the NBA has done so much background check on these different cities that it's not going to be a problem to move in. But us as coaches, if you look at my resume, I've coached every place you could possibly coach. So it's not a problem. You close the suitcase, you put your suit on, and you keep rolling. It's kind of like Tyrone said, you keep moving, you make it happen.
Right. Well, there's a reason I asked that question. By the way, folks, a big welcome back to everybody watching on Hotel Television and, of course, listening in on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and everywhere else around the country. Here with two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole, and NBA champion, three-time NCAA champion, and two-time CBA coaching champion as well. That would be Henry Bibby. Big round of applause for these guys right here. I'm surrounded by success, which is great news. Henry, I had a conversation with one of the gentlemen that owns one of the WNBA teams, and it was recently, and I asked him, I said, how difficult was it for you to break the news to your fan base that, oh, by the way, we're going to another city next year, so if you want to follow us, you're going to have to follow us in a rival city, mind you. How difficult would you think it is for the management and the ownership side? Technically, that's really where I'm going with it. And how do you have to take the heat as a coach or as a player? Because, well, hey, you guys left this city. Well, that's not really our choice. But how much heat did you have to take if that were the case?
Well, you take some heat, but you get a fan base in the city that you're going to, so it's not really a problem. Yeah, it's kind of like LeBron leaving Cleveland. They hated him at the beginning. He, after one or two games, he was okay coming back, and he went back to that city and he was still good. It is difficult to do that because a lot of these teams have laid the groundwork to be successful in that city, and you do build a big fan base. Yeah, it's tough when you're moving. But this is a transient business. You're on the go when you're in pro sports, and you're from team to team at times. I played on 3 or 4 different teams, so you make that move, and when you go back to that city, there are fans who still love you. There are fans that will always love you in some of those cities, but they have their allegiance to the city they're in. So if the team moves to another city, then they're going to be for their team that's moving in.
Now, as a player, as a former player, as a coach, former coach, and as a father, how important was religion or is religion in your success to where you are today?
Well, Tyrone, it helped me a lot. It changed my life completely years and years ago when I became a born-again Christian at that time.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I had a situation where I did a video. It was called Video of the 90s, years back in the 90s. And I was on the dais with the late, great, rest in peace, Lute Olson, the late, great Jerry Tarkanian, rest in peace, and Tara Vanderveer. You're talking about the 3 of the greatest coaches at that time at Arizona, UNLV, and Stanford. And little Henry Bibby, who had coached in the CBA, was on the dais with these guys. And before that, God had cleared my life and a lot of things had happened. And I just couldn't believe that he put me there. He said, I'll put you where I want you to be. And that's how I got the job at SC. He said, I'll put you there when I'm ready for you to be there. So during that time, he put me on the dais with those guys. And, I couldn't believe how powerful the word of prayer was and faith was at that time to get me in that situation. So it is powerful. And, families are important, to get good family support and just to get good support, period. You have to have a base of good things around you. And if you're in that Christian faith, as you have to have that milk and honey every day. You have to have a nice base, a nice, good church base that you go to and people being around you that make it happen.
All right, Tyrone, go ahead, get us out of here.
Well, you know what? I thank God for this show. I thank God for Mr. Bibby. I thank God for everybody who's watching and listening. And I know you're going to keep faith in the show, and we're going to see you when we return with more Sports Circus.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. 1 ball, 1 strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch, foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch, foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do? They told me when they hired me it was a temporary job. Born and raised in St. Louis, and you can imagine the Cardinals were my favorite team from the day I could remember. And all of a sudden, the miracle of life, I'm broadcasting Card games. I own the town and broadcast them for 25 years, and I thought they're going to give me a gold watch, and they gave me a pink slip. Then I went out to work for Charlie Finley for a year, and that's par for the course. Came to Chicago, and I was with the White Sox 11 years, and now with the Cubs. Never missed a game, never missed a time at bat, never missed a half inning that I was supposed to do. You know, Chicago is such a marvelous city. Hey, we got some Chicago people. You know, you never succeed in this business until you've had the experience of working with a terrible hangover. Not until you've been able to come through with flying colors under those circumstances can you consider yourself a professional. Lord knows, I've had more than my share of hangovers. There's a drive, way back. It might be, it could be, and it is. Holy cow! This crowd is wild.
You're watching the Sports Circus, and I am Brian Erlacher.
To have some fun and talk a little bit about my book. Interesting book, easy reading. Like a lot of people get out and take a look at it. Hopefully it pertains to your life. It's more of a self-help book than it is anything else. Sharing some of my experiences, being able to get the information out that it'll help some people along the way. So I'm happy to be on the show, and I thank Sal and Tyrone for having me on. It's good. A lot of fun.
Round of applause and welcome back to Henry Bibby. Of course, that's who that was. In case everybody you've been living under a rock probably know who this guy is. He's won a little bit. He won a little bit of college basketball, like 3 championships. One in the NBA. Yes. Also won as a CBA coach. The guy's won everywhere. And just like this guy over here, this guy's won a couple of Super Bowls over here. And also as an American Ninja Warrior. Big welcome back to everybody. All right. Big round of applause for both of these guys. All right. And welcome back to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM over in Las Vegas, KSIX down in southern Texas, over in Corpus Christi on our CBS Sports affiliate, as well as our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500, Los Angeles on KCAA, our NBC News, CNBC Financial, and CBS Sports affiliate, WDJY over in Atlanta, WBNW in Boston, and everywhere else, those streaming on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe, as well as everybody else on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We're everywhere, even hotels from coast to coast, 650,000 rooms. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, back here with the guys. Tell you what, this is a good conversation, and I'm just going to let Tyrone take it over right now. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I tell you what, I enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to make sure I stay in touch with you, Mr. Bibby. I love being around people with wisdom, because I definitely believe when you're around people with wisdom, then any plans that you are able to filter through them will be successful. So one question I want to ask you now, again, myself being an author, I've written a book, and there's some things that I look back on, I'm like, man, they took advantage of me here. Now, you being a writer, is there anything that you have discovered, or what is the most unethical practice in the publishing industry that you have come across?
Well, I haven't really had anything yet, Tyrone. I'm sure there will be, but it's been a good experience. It's been a long time coming. I've been doing this book probably 10 years or more, just writing off and on, trying to get someone to help me with the book. To get it to the point where you can get it to a publisher to publish it. But it's been a lot of time spent on trying to figure out some of the things that's involved in some of the things that I want to get out there. Again, not in an angry way, but in a way that it would help people share information where life is better.
Yeah, and I tell you one of the things why I asked that question. Where I asked that question because, again, being an author myself, there's one thing that I could go back and I could change about the first publishing company that I went with. I would say it's all about the contract, because it's like a 80-20, and the publishing company, they get 80%, and then the author gets 20%. So when the book first comes out, the publishing company, they're the ones that are going to get all of the money when it goes to the Barnes and Nobles and Amazon and everything like that. So whenever I would go to a book signing, I would tell people, they would ask me, well, can I find your book on Amazon and this and that websites? I would say yes, but go to my personal website, because the publishing company gets their set of books, and the author gets their set of books. So I would always tell people, go to my website, because when they go to my website and buy it from my website, I get 100% of the proceeds. And as the years go by, the contract numbers actually diminish. So it'll go from 80-20 to start out to maybe 70-30, then 60-40. And then about the time it's 50-50, the book has been out for about 5-10 years or so. So really it's kind of the momentum has slowed down. So if there was one thing that I would tell, encouraging writers, publishers that have a book, that make sure you handle that contract in a way. It's kind of like sports. You want to get your money up front from these owners. You don't want to wait until the end when your career is almost over. So, but that's.
I agree totally with you. I agree totally with you, Tyrone. My whole thing is, I'm not interested really. You want to sell books, but if I have to depend on monies from this book to live on, then I'm in trouble. So I'm not. my whole concern is not so much, money on the books. I'm not My whole thing is the message that I'm trying to get out to people.
Yes.
Of course, I like to be a million seller, but I don't know how realistic that is. But again, if I can help some people with some things that I'm sharing, at this stage of my life, my age, that's what I'm looking to do. Now, if I was 25, it might be a different story, and I might be able to sell a different story of the book. But right now, it's more for me to get out information on how do I help young coaches? How do I help them become successful coaches? How can a parent look at me and say for my parenting situation what they would have done differently? That's all I'm trying to do is get out there and divorces are tough. I share a little bit about divorce. It's very, very tough to do, with families, going in different ways. So how do you circumvent that to help a family that's going through a divorce? We have 65% of the people are in divorces these days. So how do we lower that number? And that's what hopefully some people can look at me and say, I would do it differently, or a different way I would do it. And maybe if I go back and had to do it again, I would do it differently. So there are things that I'm trying to get out there to people that hopefully will enhance their life. And again, if I have to pay my mortgage through this thing, I'm going to be calling you to come over to your house and stay with you for a few days, okay?
Now, I know, Sal, I'm going to jump in real quick. I got to ask about the marriage, because I have a philosophy as well when it comes to marriage. But I want to ask you, Mr. Bibby, if you're speaking to a high-profile person, meaning the person who is young and they got to grind, they spend 100% of their time in their particular activity, whether it's corporate America or it's athletics, what marriage advice would you give to that person as far as should they get married at what time of their particular career? Should it be the beginning? Go ahead and find that woman or that man right now, or wait until the middle, or wait until you kind of go towards the end? What would be your marriage advice to a high profile person who's trying to build their career?
Well, it's nice to ask me. I haven't been successful at that. I wasn't successful at that, but that's good to ask me. I think at the beginning, before the marriage come on, I think you have to sit down with that person, and let them know who you are and what you do and where you're going to be, and find out about her just as much. Where is she from? What kind of background she's from? Knowing that you're a sports person, you're a coach, this is what your life is going to be like. You're going to be on the road, 85% of the time. You're not going to be able to see all the basketball games and go to all the little league games. So you're going to have a wife that's really strong, who understands your position, who can hold the fort down at home. When you're out on the road, when you're gone, you have to be thick-skinned. There are going to be a lot of people looking at you as an athlete. There's going to be a lot of people coming around, but you got to be committed to the marriage life. That's what you have to be. And that's the vows that you take, going into it. But you have to have two strong people that want the same goal, a family, working in the same direction every day. But when you're away, they have to be the man at home. That's the way it is until you get back. So all that information has to be shared, has to be talked about. It has to be communication involved in that. Then it works. But again, you have to know the person that you're marrying, that they understand going into the situation. It's a sports. Sports is a different guy. The same thing with a CEO that stays at the company, half the night. I mean, the wife has to understand that. And if you don't understand that, then you're going to have problems.
All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Those watching us on Hotel TV, also on all of our social media, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, we're there. Back here with Henry Bibby, and he is a three-time national champion and NBA champion and a CBA champion times two, as well as this guy over here, and that would be Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior. Right. Welcome back to everybody. All right, so Henry, listen, in the last couple of minutes, I want to know, how can everybody find the book that you've written, The Addiction That Drove Me?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle. That's where we have it right now. Then we're going to do some more promotion work on this as we move along with some book signings at different places. So it's going to be there out for people to find, and we're going to get it out there once we get this going. So I'm very happy with it, very pleased with it. Hopefully I'm not going to make anybody unhappy with it, but it wasn't written to make anyone unhappy. It was written to help people along the way, to understand that life is not easy. Life is not smooth every day. Mm-hmm. Although you've been in the NBA, you've been a champion and all that, it doesn't mean life is a given. It doesn't mean that it's easy. Yes. So there's a ton of work that has to go into it, and we've all made mistakes. If I have to go back and do mine again, I would do some things differently, absolutely. But again, you don't have a chance to relive most of that, but what you have a chance to do is try to circumvent some of the things that you've done wrong and make amends to that and keep moving on. Okay, real quick. Also, Henry, how can everybody follow you on social media, and do you have a website? We don't have that yet. That's coming out. Tyrone is saying, that the publishing company will be doing a lot of that as we move forward. I want to, get on your show because you and I go back 115 years. And just like George here over my shoulder. Yeah, just like George. So, I knew I could get on with you and talk a little bit about it, but we haven't really hit the release button, so to speak, to the point where it's really out there. But it will be in the next couple of weeks. With the pandemic going on, everything's been pushed back. So we're kind of, waiting a little bit to get everything back into play again. All right. Final words, Tyrone.
Well, you know what? Just like Mr. Bibby said, I consider life like a roller coaster. There are highs and lows, and it's the lows of life that help you to handle the highs of life. So if you don't want to get on that roller coaster ride of life, I'm telling you, you might as well go ahead and put yourself in the grave. But if you're going to live in this world, you got to learn to handle the lows of life that will teach you how to handle the highs of life. So the roller coaster of life. But it's a great life. It's good. You need the highs and lows.
All right, Henry, it's always a pleasure having you on. Henry, you can come on anytime you want to, as you know that.
I appreciate that, Sal. That's 115 years. Okay, good. Yeah, I've known you a long time. So I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much, Tyrone. I love talking to you. Your ideas, your philosophy, I love. Keep that foundation going like you. That's a great foundation. Unbelievable foundation.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And good luck to you on your book and everything else in life.
Thank you.
Get us out of here, Tyrone.
Well, you know what? This brings us to the end of this ride. Choo-choo is over. I know you don't want to go. We'll see you on the next episode of the Sports Circus. We're out of here.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.